Exposed, heartwarming journey of transformation after 12 years of marriage and an unexpected bet. In the quaint town of Maplewood, Wisconsin, an ordinary night would turn extraordinary as Jack, a mechanic with dreams bursting at the seams, made a bet that would change everything. Surrounded by friends under the glow of string lights, laughter wove through the air. But as the truth lay heavy on their hearts, Emily felt the spark igniting deep inside her, the vibrant woman buried beneath years of unfulfilled dreams. 12 years into a routine marriage, she poured her soul into teaching, yet the weight of their financial struggles overshadowed every hopeful moment. "Let us renew our vows," Jack challenged, his eyes sparkling with the thrill of the promise. "In 1 year, if we can chase our dreams and transform our lives, we will." The crowd erupted with cheers, but it was Emily who felt the rush of emotion clawing at her throat. It was as if the universe winked at her, daring her to reclaim lost hopes. Days blurred into nights as Emily often felt the weight of being an unsung hero, pouring her heart into her students while watching her own dreams fade like whispers in the wind. Jack, meanwhile, wrestled with a persistent voice in his head that whispered doubts about his ambitions. As the pressure built, Emily noticed Jack's brows furrow deeper, every day a reminder of security and aspiration lost in daily grind. In their intimate conversations, Jack's dreams felt fragile, like glass ready to shatter. He wanted to run his own shop, to feel that rush of pride and accomplishment. But the reality of bills and responsibilities fogged their clarity. With a deep breath, Emily realized they needed guidance. That's when they turned to Charlie, a beloved veteran in Maplewood, who had weathered storms far worse. His advice was always delivered like the ropes that pulled their ship back to dock during rough seas. "Lean on each other," he shared, "and have faith in the journey." Just like that, their ambition flickered to life, rejuvenated by community spirit. Jack began drafting plans for his dream workshop, all while Emily sought opportunities to strengthen her school's resources. But then, calamity hit. Like a cruel twist in a well-rehearsed script, Jack lost his job amidst a flurry of local business closures. The chaotic spiral they feared was now their reality. The dreams they clung to seemed further out of reach, leaving Emily's chest tight with unexpressed resentment. She felt invisible, every effort unnoticed, while Jack stood at the edge of despair, each ounce of confidence chipped away. In a moment heavy with unspoken words, they faced their struggles together. It was in the quiet, where the unsaid roared the loudest, that they found themselves teetering on the edge of change. Jack faltered, contemplating failure's suffocating grip. The sun dipped low over Maplewood, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink. Emily questioned if they were truly destined for the renewal they sought or if life had dealt them an unfair hand. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As the night settled deeper around them, Jack took Emily's hands, tension palpable between them. They stood at a crossroads, faced with the reality of their dreams, fears, and what love truly meant. This journey wasn't just about chasing aspirations, it was about rediscovering each other amidst life's storm. Would they rise together, or would the weight of the world pull them under? In the fading light of Maplewood, hope flickered, just waiting for the first breath of dawn. The sun peeked through the curtains the next morning, casting golden rays across their bedroom. Emily stirred awake, the shadows of doubt still lingering in her mind. She glanced at Jack, who was still asleep, his brows slightly furrowed as if even in slumber, he carried the weight of the world on his shoulders. She wanted to reach out and smooth away the lines of worry, but uncertainty held her back. After breakfast, she picked up her phone, scrolling through job postings, desperately searching for anything that felt like a beacon of hope. Math teacher positions cluttered the screen, but what she really wanted was something that made her heart race again. She remembered the small art studio in town that had started a summer program for kids. She had always dreamed of integrating art into her lessons, of fostering creativity in her students. "Jack, look!" she called out, excitement bubbling beneath her uncertainty. "There's an arts program opening at Hillcrest." Jack shuffled into the kitchen, bleary-eyed and holding a mug of coffee like it was a lifeline. His expression brightened for a fraction of a second before he masked it with a solemn nod. "That's great, Em. But you know how it is, right? We have bills to think about. Can they even afford you?" The smile fell from her face. "I thought we agreed to chase our dreams. You want to open your shop. I want to teach in a way that brings joy. Why can't we take some risks?" He sighed, leaning heavily against the counter. "Because it feels like everything we gamble makes us lose more. I'm trying to get things back on track here." The air thickened with tension, and Emily felt the ache of her unexpressed dreams. Did Jack's worries dim her own light? But before she could voice her frustrations, her phone buzzed with a notification. "It's Charlie," she announced, and for a moment, they both paused, hoping for a glimmer of positivity. The screen blinked a reminder: sometimes you have to get a little lost to find your way back. Follow your heart. In that moment, something shifted in Emily. The message felt like permission to pursue her passions fearlessly, even if Jack couldn't see what she saw. "I'm going to apply," she stated with resolution. "We need to believe in something again." Jack stared at her, caught off guard. "What if it doesn't work out? What then? What if it does?" The question echoed between them, sparking a flicker of hope in the dim light above. I want us to be okay," he murmured, grief shadowing his eyes. "Okay is what we had before," she replied quietly. "We were just existing, Jack. We need more than okay. We deserve possibility." Their gazes locked, and slowly, the invisible wall that had built up between them began to crumble. With a small smile, she reached for his hand, intertwining her fingers with his. "I'll apply," she whispered again, more for herself than for him. "And you'll work on your plans for the shop, right? Every small step counts." He hesitated, his expression softening. Yeah, I'll work on it." As they stood there in the kitchen, the air shifted. The uncertainty lingered, but something else was there, too, a cautious optimism. The morning sun spilled into the room, illuminating the shadows of their fears. Outside, life carried on, and it felt like a new beginning. She smiled at Jack, her heart lighter. They were still in it together, holding on to each other midst chaos. But just as hope blossomed, the phone rang loudly, cutting through the moment. It was the school's principal. Emily's heart raced. "Emily. I've got good news. We'd like to move forward with your application," but as she listened, her heart sank. "Just one thing, though. The position is contingent on securing funding." With her excitement hanging in the air, a wave of doubt washed over her. Would it be yet another disappointment? As she hung up, Jack noticed her pale expression. "What's wrong?" "Everything is conditional," she whispered, her voice small. They looked at each other, a renewed realization dawning. The road ahead was more complicated than they had envisioned, with more ups and downs ahead. Would they find the strength to confront the challenges that lay before them? Or would their dreams once again slip through their fingers like sand? As the day unfolded, uncertainty loomed, and the question hung heavy in the air: what price would they have to pay for their dreams? Emily stood at the kitchen table, feeling like a boat tossed in rough seas. The tentative hope buoyed by the principal's words now felt like a heavy anchor dragging her down. She glanced at Jack, who was still processing the news, his face a canvas of concern. They had fought for this moment, and now it was shrouded in uncertainty. "Do you think they'll secure the funding?" Jack asked, his voice barely above a whisper as he took a sip of his coffee. "I don't know," she replied, crossing her arms as if that would protect her from the storm brewing in her heart. "I was so close, Jack. I thought for once, it could all fall into place. He set the mug down, and the clink sounded like a ticking clock. We knew things wouldn't be easy. But what if we're just chasing shadows? Chasing shadows. The words lingered in the air, painful and familiar. Emily wanted to argue, to convince him that their dreams weren't just illusions, but they both knew how fragile their hearts had become. I'm scared, too, she admitted, emotions spilling out like a cracked dam. But if we don't try at all, isn't that scarier? Jack's gaze softened slightly. I want to believe, Em. I do. He rubbed the back of his neck, a sign of his internal struggle. I just wish it wasn't always so complicated. She stepped closer, feeling the electric connection that had once sparked between them. Maybe we need to redefine what okay means. It shouldn't just be about paying bills and staying afloat. Jack's eyes darted around, searching for something just out of reach. But what if that's all we can do? Emily felt a pang deep in her chest. Then we're living someone else's life. I miss our dreams, our laughter, the way we could talk for hours about what we wanted our lives to be. He sighed, and the tension lightened just a fraction. What if I meet you halfway? His words were hesitant, but there was a note of sincerity there. I'd take that. I'd take anything, she said, the weight of her words settling between them like a fragile truce. If you promise to work on your shop, I'll push through with this opportunity. Deal. He gave a small nod, and their fingers intertwined, the warmth kindling a flicker of hope. Just as the uncertainty began to lift, Emily's phone buzzed again. This time, it was a message from Charlie. Remember, the universe rewards the brave. Don't forget to take risks. Another reminder. Jack chuckled, though the sadness lingered in his eyes. Not just for me, Emily replied. For both of us. We have to take that leap together, even if it feels scary. The conversation shifted as they started to brainstorm ways to secure funding for her position. Emily felt a swell of determination rise within her. They could reach out to the community. Maybe apply for grants. It was a start. Their discussion spiraled into ideas and laughter and possibilities, bringing life back into the room. The sunlight poured in, casting warmth that felt tangible, almost surreal. As night fell, they sat down for dinner, plates filled with takeout, laughter punctuating their shared meal. Trust brewed in small moments, the way Jack touched her arm, the shared glances, "Oh, we can do this" in the air between them. But then, just as their spirits surged, the doorbell rang. It felt ominous. Jack exchanged a concerned look with Emily. Do you think? He stood up as apprehension crawled in. Could it be the principal? Emily pondered out loud. As Jack opened the door, the moment hung thick with anticipation. Who was standing there? What new challenge would they face? Emily's heart was racing. The evening could either seal their hope or shatter it, and she was terrified of either possibility. Jack opened the door slowly, revealing a tall figure cloaked in shadows. The porch light flickered on, illuminating the face of an old friend, Mike, standing there with a hesitant smile. Emily's heart sank. She hadn't heard from Mike in years, and his sudden appearance sent a mix of relief and anxiety through her. Mike! What are you doing here? Emily asked, half excited, half nervous. Jack stepped back, allowing their friend to enter. I know it's late, but I thought I'd drop by catching up over some drinks felt right. Mike chuckled lightly as he entered, trying to ease the strange tension thick in the air. Jack smiled, but Emily sensed the underlying unease as they all settled into the living room. It felt a bit surreal to have Mike here, bringing memories of carefree days when their biggest worry was getting through finals and planning epic road trips. Now, they were navigating adult life with all its complications. Everything okay? Jack asked, his brows slightly furrowed. Just lost my job, Mike said nonchalantly, but the tremor in his voice spoke volumes. Emily and Jack exchanged worried glances, the weight of their own struggles suddenly feeling heavier in contrast. What happened? Emily asked softly, her empathy kicking in. Company downsizing. It's a mess, really. Mike shrugged, attempting to shake off the weight of the news. But I figured I could use a fresh start and wanted to see if you guys are up for a little distraction, maybe brainstorm some ideas. Emily noticed how Jack's shoulders slumped ever so slightly. As much as they were excited for the idea of moving forward, was it fair to add Mike's troubles to their own plate? Of course, Emily replied. We're in. What do you have in mind? Actually, I was thinking of starting a new project. Something with community engagement, drawing on our skills more like a cooperative. And maybe. His words trailed off, eyes flicking to Jack. Maybe I can help with some of that branding for your shop, Jack. Jack's expression shifted, the idea clearly interesting him. That could work. I've always wanted to expand, but it's hard to find the time. Emily watched them spark with ideas, their energy colliding in the room, and for a moment, she felt some of her tension ease. Maybe they could help one another through this. Later that evening, as the conversation flowed, Mike shared stories about his job, his hopes for the future, and laughter danced in the room. Emily relaxed back into the couch, grateful for the shift in mood. Jack was animated, more engaged than she had seen him in a long time. But deep down, the nagging thought persisted: what if they were all just chasing shadows? As the clock ticked closer to midnight, the laughter ebbed, replaced by a reflective silence. Jack, catching Emily's eye, seemed to sense her unease. His hand found hers, giving it a reassuring squeeze. Hey, he said quietly, we'll figure it out, all of us. I promise. Maybe this is just what we need. But they both knew that promise came with its own weight. Could they support Mike's dreams and still chase their own, or would their efforts become an overwhelming burden? Just then, Mike cleared his throat, the look on his face shifting to seriousness. I've got an idea, but I need to know if you're both on board for something big. Emily's heart raced again. What was he about to propose? Would this lead them forward or pull them deeper into uncertainty? Mike glanced between them, the gravity of the moment hanging in the air like thick fog. What if we open a pop-up cafe? Something community-oriented. We can feature local artists, have workshops, and even a small market on weekends. His eyes sparkled with enthusiasm, but Emily's stomach nodded at the idea. A cafe? She echoed, caught off guard. Really? Jack leaned forward, intrigued. That could bring in a lot of energy, he said, enthusiasm creeping into his tone. We've talked about how much this town needs a gathering place. It'd be a great way for us to tap into our different skills, my business sense, your creativity, Mike's charm. Emily felt her heart racing again, but this time, it was out of concern. But running a cafe? Don't we already have too much on our plates? Maybe, Mike admitted, running a hand through his hair. But I can't shake the feeling that this could be our shot to balance it all out. It might even bring us closer together. Jack nodded, clearly supportive. It could be exactly what we all need, a project to focus on. And if we share the load, it wouldn't be overwhelming. Emily's eyes darted around the familiar living room, suddenly feeling out of place. And if it doesn't work out? What if it fails? Failure isn't the end. It's a lesson, Mike replied, leaning in. Besides, think of all the connections we could make. The people we could meet. Talents we could discover. I just know we could make it something special. The thought of failure loomed heavy, but seeing Jack's excitement made her want to believe. She took a deep breath. Okay, what's the next step? Mike's face lit up. Let's start with a community meeting, a brainstorming session. See if there's interest in the neighborhood. Maybe get input on what people want. We'd gain support and build momentum. As they spoke into the night, ideas flowed freely. Emily felt a sense of hope flirt with the edges of her doubt. They discussed potential names, locations, even the decor they envisioned. With Mike's energy fueling them, Jack even started tossing around financial predictions as if they were doable. But every burst of excitement was offset by a tiny voice in her head, doubting their decision. Could they manage the pressure? Could they balance their lives and this venture without losing each other in the process? Hours slipped away, and with each discussion, she felt the weight of her own fears pressing down harder. Yet, whenever Jack caught her gaze and offered that warm, reassuring smile, it reminded her that maybe facing this uncertainty together would lead to something wonderful. As they wrapped up their brainstorming, Jack stood up, stretching. "So, we're really doing this?" Emily gave a soft laugh, though uncertainty rippled through her. "I guess so. But only if we're all really committed." "I'm in," said Mike, his sincerity evident. "This is more than just a cafe, it can be our way to inspire change and get back to doing something meaningful." Jack reached for Emily's hand again, holding it tightly. "No matter what happens, we're in this together. We always have been." The warmth of his touch began to quiet her worries as she nodded. Together, but as they settled into a comfortable silence, another thought nagged at Emily. If they succeeded, would it be enough to heal the cracks in their lives? And if they failed, would the fallout endanger their friendships? As the night deepened, the uncertainty wrapped around her like a blanket, and she wondered what was truly in store for them. What did together really mean when lives were pushed to the edge? And just like that, the weight of the decision loomed, promising to change everything. But were they ready to embrace an adventure that could either break them or bring them together in a way they never thought possible? The next morning dawned bright and crisp, filtering through the sheer curtains of Emily's bedroom. She stared at the ceiling, thoughts tangled like the sheets around her. The cafe idea felt bigger than just a business, it felt like a lifeline or perhaps a noose, tightening around their everyday lives. Emily slipped out of bed and padded to the window. The street was quiet, the usual bustle of the neighborhood still asleep. She took a deep breath, feeling the chill of the morning air fill her lungs. Despite the morning calm, her heart raced with anxious possibilities. As she prepared breakfast, she couldn't shake the conversation from the previous night. What if they dove into this venture only to find themselves drowning? Would diving into something so public change how she saw herself? Would her relationship with Jack and Mike twist into something unrecognizable? By the time she was pouring coffee, Jack's head poked through the kitchen door. "Morning," he called out cheerfully, a bright grin on his face that made her insecurities feel impossibly heavy. "Morning," she replied, forcing a smile. She watched as he moved around the kitchen, instinctively knowing where everything was stored. They made a great team in that respect, knowing each other's rhythms over years of friendship. Something deep inside her stirred as she thought about Jack's steady nature. He was always the anchor when the waters got rough. Could they really do this? "What are you thinking about the cafe? Are we really ready?" she asked, trying to keep her tone light. Jack's smile faltered just a little before he sat down at the table. "I think we are. We'll figure it out together." He paused, looking straight at her. "But I get it. You're worried." "I am," Emily admitted, stirring her coffee with a little more force than necessary. "What if it changes things? What if we end up resenting each other?" "We won tea," Jack said firmly. "We're friends. That's our foundation. No matter how stressed we get with the cafe, we have to promise to communicate. Just like we always have." His words settled gently in her mind. She could stick to that plan, but doubt still flickered around her edges like shadows in the morning light. After breakfast, Mike arrived, his presence bursting into the room like a flame. He wasted no time in talking about logistics, permits, menus, marketing stunts. Emily watched him, excitement radiating from him like sunlight. Yet, in the back of her mind, a little voice whispered, "What if he burns out?" They spent the morning sketching ideas, and to her surprise, Emily found herself energized by their teamwork. The laughter came easy, and the creative flow felt almost natural. But beneath it all lingered her questions. Could they maintain their bonds with the added pressure? Lunch came and went, and as their discussions deepened, earth-shaking truths began to surface in the conversations. "This isn't just about making coffee," Mike said at one point, casually. "It's about creating a space for people to connect, like we do." Emily's heart swelled, but also twisted. What would happen when the pressure mounted? Do we really believe we can change our little corner of the world? She caught herself asking, vulnerability creeping into her voice. "All we need is a shot at it," Jack said, reaching over to squeeze her hand. "If we fall, we'll fall together." That simple promise sent heat through her. She nodded, but a sense of unease still lingered. Unsteady, she asked, "What happens if things don't go as we hope? How will it change us?" They all paused, the weight of her question thickening the air. Jack's eyes held her gaze for a moment, a silent agreement passing between them. Then Mike spoke, his voice low and serious. "Maybe that's the beauty of it. There's risk everywhere in life. It's about creating something meaningful, okay? It's about taking the leap together." The sincerity of his words washed over her like warmth, yet the chill of uncertainty remained. Would meaningful be enough? As the afternoon sun dipped low, casting long shadows across the room, Emily felt the undeniable truth settling in her bones. This cafe could be everything they dreamed of, or it could pull them apart. With the air thick with untold possibilities, she found herself wondering, if they were truly in this together, how far would they go to protect each other when everything was on the line? Was she ready to risk her heart for an uncertain future? Or would it only expose the fragility woven into their relationships? As the days rolled on, the cafe idea transformed from a mere concept into a looming presence in their lives. Emily often found herself awake at midnight, staring at the ceiling, the same swirl of worries haunting her thoughts. Would the cafe bring them closer? Or would it unravel everything they had worked so hard to build? It was a Friday evening when they all gathered at Jack's apartment to discuss finalizing their plans. The air buzzed with excitement and tension. Emily could feel the weight of unspoken fears hanging over them. Mike was pacing back and forth, reviewing every detail with a fervor that both impressed and worried her. Jack was sitting at the table, jotting down notes and occasionally throwing supportive glances her way. "Okay, so the lease is signed," Mike exclaimed, his voice a mixture of triumph and disbelief. "This is really happening. Do you think we're ready?" Emily asked, her voice barely above a whisper. "Ready?" Mike chuckled as he tossed an arm around her shoulder. "Emily, we've been prepping for this for weeks. This is our moment." Yet her smile faltered, shadowed by doubt. Did he really believe that? Could enthusiasm alone drive them through the inevitable challenges ahead? Jack's gaze softened, sensing her inner turmoil. "One step at a time, Em. Remember our motto? Don't stop believing," she recited, almost mechanically. Their little mantra had become both a reminder and a comfort, yet it felt flimsy in the face of reality. As they rallied around the kitchen island, discussing colors for the walls and ideas for the logo, Emily felt a flicker of hope amidst the chaos. The idea of creating a space that brought people together began to resonate with her. It was not merely about coffee, after all, it was about connection, community, forging bonds. But just as the excitement began to swell, it was interrupted by an unexpected knock at the door. The moment was heavy with uncertainty as Mike opened it, revealing a local news reporter. "Hi there. I heard through the grapevine about your new cafe. Mind if I ask a few questions?" Emily's stomach dropped. Publicity could be both a blessing and a curse. Jack glanced at her, the question in his eyes clear. Were they ready for this? For all eyes to be on them? Mike, undeterred, stepped forward. "Sure. We're thrilled to share what we're working on." Emily watched as Mike dove into an animated discussion. But she couldn't help but feel like a deer caught in headlights, her thoughts racing. What if the cafe failed and everyone knew about it? What if her insecurities were laid bare for all to see? As she stood there, the flashy lights and camera flashed in her direction, and suddenly her fears felt much larger than before. "We're making something special," Jack added, looking at her with unwavering conviction. "Together. But we need to be willing to embrace the risk, right?" They all turned to her, the weight of their hopes resting heavily on her shoulders. She swallowed hard, heart pounding, facing the decision before her. Did she want to stand in the light or retreat into her shadows? "What if we actually succeed?" She blurted out, vulnerability making her voice waver. "What if we become something bigger than ourselves?" A silence hung in the air for a moment until Mike broke it with a smile. "Then we'll take that journey together," he said, his grin infectious. With a fragile mixture of courage and apprehension, Emily took a step forward into the light. "All right then," she said, her voice stronger now. "Let us show them who we are." As the interview unfolded, uncertainty lingered, intertwining with hope. But with every word exchanged, Emily felt a part of her awakening. Maybe, just maybe, she was ready to embrace whatever came their way. Yet as the evening wore on, her heart continued to beat with a mix of hope and fear. How would they handle the inevitable scrutiny? Were they truly prepared for what lay ahead? And just as she thought the tumultuous waves of change began to calm, a question loomed large in her mind: what would happen when the reality of running the cafe collided with their dreams? The following morning dawned with a mix of warmth and uncertainty. Emily awoke to the chirping of birds outside her window, but the early light did little to dispel the fog of apprehension that clung to her. As she moved through her morning routine, her thoughts tangled with the events of last night, replaying the reporter's questions and the flashes of the camera like a highlight reel of her anxiety. What if we become something bigger than ourselves? The echoes of her own words filled her mind, a blend of excitement and dread dancing in her chest. Later that day, the trio met again at Jack's apartment to dive deeper into preparations for the cafe's launch. They decided to create a mock-up of the space on the floor. Emily led them in sketching out the layout on a large piece of paper. To her surprise, she found herself in her element as she mapped out seating arrangements and designated areas for coffee brewing, snacks, and a cozy reading nook. "Wait. What if we add a stage for open mic nights?" Mike suggested with a grin, his eyes sparkling as he animatedly expressed his vision. "Imagine the local talent." "I love it," Emily replied, her confidence soaring as she began to visualize a community connecting in their space, laughter and stories shared over steaming mugs. Jack, ever the realist, raised an eyebrow. "That's great, but we need to consider acoustic treatments and a sound system. No way do I want someone screeching into a microphone while my espresso machine is working." As they continued to brainstorm, Emily felt a shift in her worries. Instead of focusing on the uncertainties, she immersed herself in their dreams, igniting the shared laughter in the room. Together, they sketched ideas for decor, mismatched chairs and colorful murals that exuded warmth and comfort. It wasn't just about coffee anymore, it was about creating memories. But just as the excitement grew, Emily's phone buzzed on the table. She glanced down and felt her heart constrict. It was a message from her mother, asking if she'd seen the local news segment featuring their cafe. Her palms turned clammy. Guys, I just got a text from Mom. The interview aired last night." "What did she say?" Jack asked, looking genuinely interested. Emily took a breath, feeling a knot in her stomach. "She wants to come visit and check out our big venture. I just don't know how she'll react to everything." "Hey," Mike said gently, noticing her distress. "You're doing something brave here. If she can't see that, it's her loss." The empowerment in Mike's voice sparked a flicker of hope. But the nagging voice in her head whispered doubts about her family. Their expectations had always loomed larger than life. As the afternoon turned into evening, they began to compile a list of items they needed to purchase. The buzz in the air was palpable, but the weird twist of lingering fear still gnawed at Emily's gut. She glanced at Jack, who seemed so confident, assured in their path, and her chest tightened. What if all of this is too much too fast? Jack approached her, hands resting on the table, a soothing smile playing at his lips. None of us have ever done this before, Em. But we're in it together. Each hurdle we face, we'll face it as a team. Look at how far we've come already. His words wrapped around her, a lifeline through the storm of self-doubt. Still, a sliver of fear nipped at her sanity. What if I'm not cut out for all this? What if I can't handle the pressure? Then we'll figure it out together, he assured her. You're braver than you think. But how brave could she be? They were approaching uncharted territory, and there was grit in the air, a feeling that something vital was on the brink of breaking. Just as Emily finally found some steadiness in her thoughts, her phone buzzed again. The news app pushed a notification. Cafe launch, a new spot for local talent. Her heart raced. Was this news about them already hitting the headlines? Let us read it, Mike urged, sensing Emily's hesitance. As they gathered around her phone, the air thick with anticipation, Emily couldn't shake. The feeling that this was just the beginning of something monumental, something that might change everything. But would it draw them closer, or push them apart? The door to uncertainty swung wide open, and she realized that the path ahead was as thrilling as it was terrifying. And just like that, a question arose in her mind: how far would they go to protect their dreams, no matter the cost? The cafe launch was less than a month away, and Emily felt the weight of the world on her shoulders. The news article had ignited a fire, but it also brought with it a whirlwind of scrutiny she hadn't prepared for. With each passing day, the excitement resided alongside an invisible anxiety, like two faces of the same coin. In the days that followed, Emily observed the changes in her friends, especially Jack. His determination became a driving force, pushing them through late nights and filled schedules. They worked tirelessly, creating a vision board, collecting inspiration from countless coffee shops around the city, and his enthusiasm was contagious. Emily felt lifted, yet the nagging anxiety was hard to ignore. One evening, while poring over spreadsheets and creating lists, Emily paused to check her phone. The notifications seemed relentless, and each ping sent ripples of apprehension through her stomach. But amidst the chaos, another message from her mother popped up. This one was different. It was longer, heavier. Emily, I saw your interview. I'm proud of you, but can we talk? I worry about this path you've chosen. Emily's breath hitched in her throat. Proud, but worried. The mix stung, like salt on a fresh wound. She hadn't shared the full scope of their project with her mother. After years of expectations tethering her down, this was her chance to break free, but it seemed her mother couldn't understand the depths of her dreams. What's wrong? Mike's voice broke through her thoughts, pulling her back into the room. She held up her phone, unable to mask the simmering distress on her face. It's Mom. She thinks I'm making a mistake. Mike studied her for a moment, concern written on his features. But you're not, right? This is what you want. Emily felt tears prickle at the corners of her eyes. I don't know anymore. What if she's right? What if I fail? Jack stepped closer, intertwining his fingers with hers, anchoring her in that moment. What if you're wrong about failing? You're not just building a cafe, you're building your life. We all are. Your mom may not get it, but we do. His words resonated. Emily felt the strength of their shared dream begin to pull her out of her doubt. And what if I succeed? She countered, a flicker of hope igniting within her. Then you'll create a space that changes everything for the community, Jack replied confidently. With every word exchanged, the air grew lighter, the shadows of her worry dissipating, if only momentarily. The idea of success loomed like a lighthouse guiding her through turbulent waters. But still, her mother's disapproval echoed in her mind. That evening, after another late night of planning, Emily stepped outside to take a breath of fresh air. The buzz of the city enveloped her, and she found solace in the soft rustling of leaves and the distant laughter spilling from nearby restaurants. It was a reminder of what they were trying to create, a place where people could gather, connect, and feel at home. As she lingered outside, the moon lighting up her path, her phone buzzed once more. This time it was a group chat notification from Jack and Mike. They shared ideas about the grand opening, inviting local artists, food trucks, and maybe even a small festival vibe. Then, a small tweet caught her eye. Excited to see at Emily Cafe opening soon. I've heard so much about it. Can't wait. It was a stranger, but it gave her a thrill. What if she could make a difference? What if they could become a part of something much larger than any of them could anticipate? Emily's heart raced, and just as she turned to return inside, she felt an unexpected rush of clarity. An idea struck her so powerfully it took her breath away. What if they offered workshops, nurtured local talent, or even discussed community issues? It was a way to connect with her mother, show her that this cafe was about far more than coffee. As she rejoined Jack and Mike, her spirit buzzed with reinvigorated energy. I have an idea, she announced, the glimmer in her eyes making both of them turn toward her. But before she could voice her plan, the door swung open, letting in a sudden gust of wind. Emily's heart sank as she saw a familiar face walking in, the face she hadn't expected to see this soon. Her mom stood there, a blend of apprehension and determination dancing in her eyes. What are you doing here? Emily's voice trembled slightly. I had to see for myself, her mother replied, stepping inside the warmth of their little world. Emily felt her heart pound. In that moment, she realized this encounter could change everything. Would it bring her the understanding she craved, or would it push the divided gap even wider? The air grew thick with anticipation. The road ahead felt uncertain once again, but she was ready to face it, whatever it took. The cafe opening day arrived under a bright, expansive sky, radiating warmth and promise. Emily stood behind the counter, her heart racing, stomach fluttering with anticipation. Jack was busy setting up a mini-stage for local musicians, Mike was arranging the pastries, and the gentle hum of chatter built around them, invigorating the once empty space. As the clock ticked closer to 10 a.m., Emily stole a moment to breathe in the aroma of fresh coffee and pastries. The air slipped through her fingers like grains of sand, reminding her of every ounce of worry she had faced in the previous weeks. But today, they were ready. Today was for them the culmination of dreams and teamwork, friendships and laughter. Look! Jack nudged her playfully, pointing to the growing line of familiar faces at the door. Neighbors, friends, families, everyone crowded together, buzzing with excitement for a taste of what they'd created. Did we really do this? She gasped, every bit of self-doubt melting away in the flood of shared joy washing over her. You bet we did. Mike grinned, setting up a chalkboard on the sidewalk that read, "Welcome to Emily's Cafe, where dreams brew together." As the doors swung open, excited chatter erupted. The cozy cafe filled with laughter and the scent of freshly baked goods. Emily caught a glimpse of her mother entering with an unsure smile, surveying the bright decorations that adorned the space. The sight of her brought a tinge of nervousness. Ready? Jack asked, squeezing her shoulder. Emily nodded, her heart racing. Let us do this. Moments later, the cafe was alive, the soft strumming of guitars, joyful conversations, the clattering of cups, and the sweet notes from her students stirring the air. Every smile warmed Emily's heart, reminding her of why they embarked on this journey. Just then, as she was distributing drinks, her mother's voice rose gently above the hum. Emily. Turning around, Emily could see her mom standing near the window, hands clasped around a warm mug. This is incredible. Emily's breath hitched as she walked over. Mom, you really came. I had to see it for myself. I'm proud of you, sweetheart. This is beautiful, her mother said, eyes glistening with tears she tried to hide. I was wrong to worry so much. This is your passion. A wave of relief washed over Emily, wrapping around them like an embrace. "Thanks, Mom. I needed you here today." Her mother smiled, that ache in her heart easing with every happy face around them. "You've built something special. I think I've finally understood what you're trying to create, not just a cafe, but a community." As the minutes crept on, Emily noticed Jack and Mike preparing for an open mic session. Encouraged by their chance of "Let us do it," she took a deep breath and found herself standing before the crowd. "Welcome to Emily's Cafe," she proclaimed, heart racing with exhilaration. "Today, we celebrate not just coffee and pastries, but our dreams and connections. Let us create beautiful memories together." Cheers echoed back, enveloping her in warmth. Both Jack and Mike took turns to step to the mic, a cascade of performances marking the beginning of something incredible. Ordinary people shared extraordinary stories through music, laughter, and camaraderie. There was something pure about it, the very essence of why they had opened the cafe. In those moments, Emily saw her dreams dancing in tandem with the magic of togetherness. Each song calmed the worries that had once clouded her heart. As dusk approached, her mother leaned closer, confidence glowing in her eyes. "You and your friends have built a wonder, Em. I can see how hard you've worked, and I didn't trust you enough to support it. I won't make that mistake again." Tears brimmed in Emily's eyes, and she embraced her mother tightly. "It means the world to me that you're here." With their words exchanged, something shifted in Emily that day. The love she had feared losing was now a bridge to something greater. The cafe wasn't just coffee and connections, it was the tapestry of dreams threading them together. Eventually, as the last notes faded softly into the evening, Emily surveyed the scene. Jack was laughing with a child over a pastry, and Mike was engaging with another group nearby. She felt a swell of gratitude pulse through her. Together, they had weathered doubt, embraced risks, and bloomed beautifully amidst the chaos. With smiles exchanged and laughter resonating in the autumn evening, Emily realized this adventure was just the beginning. They would stumble, they would rise, but they would rise together. This cafe was a beacon of all they had worked for, and she could feel her soul spread its wings in the promise of tomorrow. In that moment of fulfillment, hope surged in Emily, invigorating her spirit like the rich aroma of coffee. They had turned vulnerability into strength, dreams into reality, and the world was painted in brighter colors, a reminder that they were not just chasing shadows, they had become the light. It was time to seize that light. And with the warmth of the world around her, Emily threw open her heart to everything the future held, ready for whatever adventures lay ahead. This is the moment. You need to subscribe now to never miss out on the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to help fuel the algorithm and let us keep bringing these transformations to life. Comment your reactions and feelings about this inspiring ending. And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to witness this transformation. Your support means the world.